Barry Shore, welcome to Jewish Money Matters. Let's spread the joy, the ambassador of joy. How are you?
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. No, Yael, how can I make the categorical statement that all the thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people that are watching and listening to the show are all good-looking? Because by definition, if they tune in to listen to your show about money, because the M word makes a difference in people's lives, if they tuned in, that means they're always looking for and finding the good. That's a
Yes.
good looking person, looking for and finding the good.
I love that definition. I love that definition, Barry. Thank you. Thank you. You are, oh my gosh, I could brag on about you. Okay, so you are an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, an author, a speaker, a podcaster, all these things. You beat the odds with an incredibly crazy, random, nothing is random in life, I shouldn't use that word, disease that left you paralyzed, quadriplegic, and now you're swimming 6 days a week, you swimming all over the world. I want you, Barry, to get us started with taking us to that day in September 2004 when the goodness and the kindness of the Almighty did not come packaged in that beautiful packaging with a beautiful ribbon that we would like to receive it. What happened that day? How did your life change that day?
So, first of all, humbled and honored to be on the show and to share with people. By the way, wonderful Yael, SHARE is a great acronym that stands for spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy.
I love that. Okay, I'm taking
What we
notes.
do, by the way, this show is, again, has nothing to do with Barry Shore. And even with Yael, as great as she is and wonderful, this show is really about you, YOU, and you becoming the best you so you can be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And because of
Yes.
that, we're going to discuss the three fundamentals of life. Number one, life has purpose. When you lead a purpose-driven life, you can go mad. Now, in this case, MAD is a great acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in life. And the third is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Like we just said, share or smile. Smile is what got me through the situation. Now, since our audience is focused around Jewish women, but Jewish people and the M word. I'm going to give you some inside baseball stuff because it wasn't just 17th of September 2004, which, by the way, is probably before many of your listeners were even born.
Yeah.
That's another story because they're all young, dynamic women, at least. And even if you're 78, you're still young and dynamic woman, Jewish woman. So it was the second day of Rosh Hashanah, that particular year, 2004, going into Shabbos. So just
Wow.
picture it. Thursday, Friday, and then going into Shabbos. Imagine standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, in shul, Rosh Hashanah, right? My son and I, Ezra, we had just come back from being in Israel for about 5 weeks. We had come back the week before, and so a little bit of jet lag and stuff. But we're in shul, come home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I told my wonderful wife Naomi, instead of a big meal, just so I'm going to have peaches and cottage cheese. I remember specifically. Okay, make kiddush, peaches and cottage cheese. I go to lie down, take a nap. So I'm going to go back to shul for Shabbos, right?
You're right.
So after a nap for about an hour, I get up and I fall down. I said, what? That's odd. Just literally. I don't know if anybody's ever fainted before, but when you faint, you just go down like a sack of potatoes.
Right.
Picked myself up, got dressed, walked to the front of the house, sat in a chair, nice, beautiful leather chair, and didn't move again. I couldn't move. Nothing about what he moved. I called my son, Ezra, hello, Abba, I can't move. What? I can't move. I asked him, go to the show around the corner and see if you can find Dr. Cars, a close friend. He's a cardiologist. And he came over and he has a great wry sense of humor for a doctor. He looks at me and says, hey, Ephraim, my real name, you don't look so good. But with a smile on his face. And he couldn't move me. Okay. He called Rosh Hashanah, his brother, Dr. Cars, very common in those days because older people. And his brother told him, hey, get him to the hospital. And he has either this or this. Okay.
Okay.
So they went to the rabbi and said, Rabbi, what do we do? Hey, there was no Uber. Remember? Hello, no
Yeah.
Uber. I know people, it's hard to even imagine that kind of stuff. No worries. Like, oh, call a taxi. And it took three people. And by the way, the rabbi called the taxi. I just want to show you how real life halacha works when it comes to doing things that need to be done.
Yes.
We're not,
Thank
we're
you.
not just, in a box. We are expansive beings. Get me to
Yes.
the hospital. I told my wife, my son, look, I'm sure I'll be home after Shabbos. I mean, who gets paralyzed and, stuff? Well,
Right.
144 days later, I was able to leave the hospital. 44 days, I became totally, completely paralyzed, called a quadriplegic. Nothing in my body moved, my head down to my toes. Nothing. 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't turn over by myself. I was 4 years in wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs from my hips to my ankles. And that was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. I still can't walk up a curb by myself. I can't walk up a stair by myself. And I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. It's all because of one word, Yael.
What?
One word. Smile. Smile. Did he say smile? Yeah, smile, because smile
I'm
is a
smiling.
great acronym, like you are continually. Smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day.
Hmm.
Seeing miracles in life every day. So I tell this story. Before COVID, I would speak to real human beings, not just on Zoom and things like that. 5,200 people in the audience just before COVID hit, and telling the story about Barry Shore, and tell smile, and people raising their hands say, "Hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours, but I haven't seen any miracles." And I ask them, "Are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk and be able to do that? You have water, drink, food to eat, place to sleep, family, friends." Every single one of those aspects is a miracle. What's the simple proof? Simple proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning, Yael. You know why?
Yes.
They died. By definition, if you're watching or listening, you didn't. We have an obligation to live exuberantly, even when I couldn't move my arms as I'm doing right now. Now, I got to tell you just a quick story.
Tell us.
About 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, my 8-year-old niece comes over to me and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile Smiel? And I thought about it. Smile, smile. Sounds the same. I said, how come? Why not? She said, because it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of babes, an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She
Beautiful.
was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, create is a fabulous word, Yael. It stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. And that's really what we're doing on this show. It's the
Wow.
ability to do rethinking. You control your thoughts. People call it neuro linguistic programming, NLP.
Yes.
Okay, great stuff. And it's worth looking up and such. But you have that ability. And if you internalize these 6 words and utilize them and leverage in your life, you will make a difference. You'll be mad. And these are the 6 words: choice, not
Mm-hmm.
chance, determines your destiny.
Yes.
Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you respond in any given situation. We just talked about a situation, years, paralyzed completely. And as Yael said, now I'm swimming. We'll talk about that later. But the real focus for this show is making sure that we're able to shift our perspective when it comes to the M word. And
Mm-hmm.
by the way, shift is a great word, Yael. And for some reason, I don't know why, but a lot of people have trouble pronouncing. They drop the F in shift and the other stuff happens. So it's really shift happens when you allow your perspective on things that are really part and parcel of you, and yet for some reason they're outside of you, or you fear them,
Mm.
or you don't understand, and that causes fear. So we're going to go a little deep, and we're going to break through all that and give you the ability to really enjoy money, making money, talking about money, and even reveling in money.
I love it. I want you to come talk to all my students. This is amazing. Yes, let's do this. But before we start talking about the M word, I got to ask you, Barry, were you always this positive, optimistic, seeing the miracles in everyday life person? Is this something that you had since childhood? or did you
So,
train yourself to do this? Did it come as a result of the illness? Tell us.
so the simple answer is yes and yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the simple answer is prior to being laid down, completely, totally paralyzed, the good Lord said, sure, I love you. I
Mm-hmm.
need you to take a break for a while, a couple of years, so you can get your thoughts together. Was I positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant before that? Yes. Was I have been working on it for decades? Yes, because it's an effort. Now,
Yes.
I predisposed? Most likely. Why? I had a father, nice guy. I had a mother, much love, Jewish mother.
Mm-hmm.
I was the firstborn, a
Mm.
boy in a Jewish household. I have two younger sisters who we're still very close and together. I mean, real family. And I had a role model.
Mm.
Growing up, I had an amazing role model. I'd like to spend a couple minutes talking about her.
Yes,
My
please.
mother.
Mm-hmm.
My mother, Oliver Shalom, amazing being, was born with a red wine stain over 3/4 of her face,
Mm.
and it was pockmarked. Now, we talk about, because most of the people on this call are mothers or
Yes.
grandmothers or aunts, but really close to kids. And we talk about bullying in school. Now we go to Jewish schools most likely, and
Mm-hmm.
still we talk about bullying, but it's probably much different and less than it is in non-Jewish schools. Let's be blunt, the parochial schools. Imagine 100 years ago what it would be like to be a girl with a big red wine stain on your face when bullying wasn't even a topic because that was just kids being
Yeah.
kids.
Kids.
And my mother, it wasn't, this is important to hear the words, it wasn't that she got through it. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. And I said, my role model, she embraced it.
Mm.
So when people made fun and pointed and hello, they did and threw things, she understood and through her mother also was taught that's their problem, not mine. Ah! Now, how do I know this to be the case, by the way? Because my mother was my mother later in life when she was an adult, but never bitter, never angry. And we had met a number of her friends that she was with in high school. And I asked, we asked mother, and she said, that's Frances. What do you want? That's who she is.
Mm-hmm.
You hear this? She may have utilized it, she may have thought about it, but emotionally, she was strong and stable and positive, purposeful, power, and pleasant. So that was my role model. So later, when I do talks, many, many places, people invariably ask after the talk, hey, sure, great story, but how did you get through it? So I told about my mother and I said, that's where your strength comes from inside and outside. How do you
Yes.
connect with people who are role models? We do a lot with this. The Chavetz Chaim Foundation, you see pictures of the Chavetz Chaim. Great, love it. But I don't know how women relate to that. And I don't even know how guys relate sometimes. It's always with the long beard and such. How do you relate to role models that are truly active and participating? And you see that it doesn't stop at business or it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
stop at the base medrash. It's part and parcel of integrating into life, which by the way is the way to jump off and talk about the M word again,
Mm-hmm.
because money is not separate from you. See, money is really one of the most wonderful tools that the good Lord created
Yes.
for you to utilize leverage in your life because it can bring about tremendous benefit. This I learned from my father growing up throughout my years. He said, we had an uncle, a rich
Mm-hmm.
uncle. he was he was really, I mean, well, he was wealthy. And he said, Uncle Eddie, you should know, Uncle Eddie liked me a lot. We talked sometimes. He said, Barry, I really like you. I'm 9 years old, 8 years old, 10. I got to tell you, see all this? Yeah. Money is a great servant. It
Mm-hmm.
is a horrible master.
Right.
And it takes effort. It takes me, he said, effort not to be controlled by it. But as
Mm-hmm.
a servant, if you can do it, it is wonderful. It's what the good Lord gave us. So like to talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about some of the things that happened in my childhood. So the answer is yes. Being positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant is everybody's spiritual DNA. Not just
Yes.
Barry Shore, not just Yael. You don't have to walk around, like a clown all day. But joy is an internal process that,
Mm-hmm.
again, because I was laid down and paralyzed, enabled me to utilize and become exponentially more giving and understanding my mission in the world.
I there's so much here. Oh my gosh, where do we continue? But let's talk about the money piece, because for some people it's the opposite of what your uncle taught you. For some people it really is their master. They are so consumed with the stress and the anxiety and the worry, which is the opposite of what God wants from us, right? And you and I know that it could be a source of joy, of impact, of service, of peace, so much that we can do with this resource. So how can we help people cross the bridge and really shift that relationship with money towards one that it's healthier?
Let's begin with this. Yael is bringing something to our world that is absolutely remarkable. We talk about David Melech and Tehillim, and he had a harp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Yael is a harp because harp stands for honest, approachable, relatable, and practical.
Oh.
And those four aspects of being honest, approachable, relatable, and practical is so vital because, again, we're talking about money. It touches every single person,
Yes.
married, unmarried, children, relatives. Money is always there. Now, she used this word SAW. SAW stands for stress, anxiety, and worry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can use that SAW to hurt yourself or cut yourself. You can also use the saw to chop down a tree or fashion something. In other words, to build. It looks like you're destroying, but you're not. It's the mindset. Remember, shift
Mm-hmm.
perspective and get that F back in there. We call it the F and F, but let's
Mm-hmm.
get that shift in. So let's begin with something totally practical.
Yeah.
I would like to offer the following, and I urge you, Yael, if you're not already doing this, and your students and anybody who will listen to you, to find kindred spirits, in this case, other women.
Mm-hmm.
Men will talk about it later because men are an interesting situation unto themselves, especially called husbands and brothers and fathers and such. But women, find at least three, preferably five, other women that literally you create a relationship with, that for 1 hour a week, maximum hour and a half, you don't want to go and make it too long, an
Mm-hmm.
hour a week, to talk about money. And I don't mean, this is really critical, I don't mean complain, I don't mean blame, not pointing fingers. It's to talk about money for the purpose of learning about money.
Mm-hmm.
So the most simple way of doing it, in my humble opinion, is to create a group, 3 or 5 people, that is going to put in $100 or $200 a piece. See, let's say you have $1,000 between 5 people, and yeah, if you have more money, don't put in more yet. Just we're going to start with $1,000, and the goal is that everybody's going to invest, not the money now, 200 you already put in. You're going to invest 10 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week, 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week, researching, learning about a stock. You hear this?
Yes, I
Each
love this.
person learns about a stock. So let's say somebody says, "Hey, I like Apple." Great, learn more about Apple. I like Amazon. I like this thing that is an up and coming, just went public. And the group gets together and you discuss and say why, how. In other words, you're there to share, spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy, to share because the goal of the group is to invest that $1,000 in one, maximum two companies. And that's,
Wow.
see, when you have 3 or 5 people, again, five, I think, is the optimum number. Too many more is too unwieldy, too few, it just doesn't work.
Right.
Is that part of what you're doing research because you want to, let's say you found something, you say, I'm really, this one I think is great. We have an opportunity. Why? You're there to share with the others to convince. You say,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to invest our money in this one or that
Mm-hmm.
one. So you have 5 people, many different opinions, but you
Mm-hmm.
want to bring to the fore your ability to share, convince, and work with people. And there are 3 rules. Number one, once the group has decided, let's say it's 5 people, you
Mm-hmm.
need 3, just the majority. And it's either going to be a 1 stock or 2. And their number 2 rule is never have recriminations. There's no blame, there's no complaint. If the stock goes up and doubles and triples, yay. If the stock goes down into the tubes, okay, we learn. You
You're right.
cannot, number 3 rule, you cannot fail. I'm going to say it again. You cannot fail. But wait a minute, Barry, we just lost money. If it happened, okay, it's money. You didn't get paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids are fine. You've got to understand what money is, great servant, and what you can do with it. And now, those are the 3 fundamentals. I'll give you a couple other ideas, but I know, I don't just think, I know because I've seen this in my life with my parents and others, that this pathway, we call it a
Mm-hmm.
mahalach,
Mm-hmm.
this pathway works. And it works wonders, by the way. So if you have, hey, I have 20 friends, great.
Yeah.
You're just with 5
Mm-hmm.
and let there be 4 or 5 others. And then eventually, maybe over the next 6 months or a year, you're going to connect. So there's this 5 here and there's 5 here. Maybe in Houston, there's 4 groups of 5s. And then in Florida or in California or in Cleveland or in some small place, there are 5. Maybe there's Jewish communities in Shanghai, Jewish
Mm-hmm.
communities in Brazil. You hear this? This is the world today.
Yes.
The ability to work together with others. So you're asking questions about money,
I love it.
learning about money. What can we do to maximize our understanding about money? That's really the key here.
I
How
love
do
it.
we maximize? Because you're all, thank God, young.
Yes.
You cannot, remember rule number 3, you can't fail.
We can't fail
Impossible.
because we're succeeding since the starting. Just doing this is already succeeding. Just getting
Right.
educated, just sharing is already succeeding. There's no way you're failing.
Exactly. That's the genius of this. And I'm giving you something that works. I
Yes.
know that it works. I've seen it tested for decades.
Mm-hmm.
I was taught this and I've helped with others. Now, again, talking mostly to women.
Mm-hmm.
Can guys do this too? Yes. Matter of fact, I would urge guys to do it, but guys separate from women. I think
Yes.
there's different energies.
Mm-hmm.
But
Agreed.
well, with this, by the way, this will also, because I'll say it now. I think it's nothing. I know that it is vital, not
Mm-hmm.
just important, vital, certainly to a marriage, that once a week, just like you do the 1 hour with the women in your group, once a week, that husband and wife share an hour together to discuss family finances.
Yes. We call it a money date in our household.
There you go. Okay.
And we bring
And by the way,
chocolate and we sit down and we discuss what needs to be
you
discussed.
can
It's so
discuss
important.
anything. You,
Mm-hmm.
there is nothing off limits as long as it's following the 3 simple rules. No recriminations,
Right.
finding a way to agree, and finding a way to be convincing without
Mm-hmm.
screaming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not easy, but again, anything
We
that
said you
takes
can't fail. If you scream, you fail.
right. So this is just it's so good. It's so real. It's so us.
Yes. Yes. And speaking of which, you've been married for 40 plus year. You mentioned your wonderful wife,
Yes.
Naomi, who, by the way, I know you give so much credit as the hero of this whole experience that you've had with your health.
Correct.
I'm assuming what have been, you just mentioned the money date or whatever, the hour talking openly, transparently about money. Did you find that that was one of the key things that you did in your marriage to help with this money and peace at home? That often seems to be two things that don't go together, right? If people, they have a great relationship, but when it comes to money,
So I want to urge everybody to understand how important your ale is,
you're so
because
sweet.
she hit upon the essential aspect of marriage,
Yeah.
relationship, and trust.
Yes.
See, if someone said, like you just did, and it's very common, well, marriage is great. When it comes to money, now, by the way, there's a very famous line in business, especially
Mm-hmm.
against guys. By the way, the word business is very wonderful. Business. Yes, Barry can spell. But look at the word business. The U comes before the I.
Yes.
The essence of business is service. That's how businesses flourish. Okay, can you go out and hustle and push it there? Yeah, okay, you might succeed. You make money. But if you be a man of service, people are attracted to you. They want to do
Mm-hmm.
business with you. Man or woman, I said man, but the
Yeah.
point is business is non-gender.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So when someone says, well, great marriage, but in money, no offense, it's not a great marriage.
Exactly.
Great marriage is built on trust, relationship, openness, in the sense that the checkbook, as it were, the bank account, the however you want to call budget, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
process is, the words are as open and are as fluid as anything else in your marriage.
Yeah.
If there is a but, then that butt becomes a butt and it becomes bigger and bigger and it butts in on everything. It is destructive, not instructive.
Mm-hmm.
So I urge people, again, we're talking about mindset, create, remember, cause, rethinking, enable all to itself. And I'll tell you something, it's not easy.
Mm.
It takes effort because oftentimes the man, the husband, feels that it's my role to be breadwinner and therefore to be the bread distributor. Okay. I was privileged to learn early on in the marriage that I asked my wife, would you be kind enough to hold the checkbook and do whatever needs to be done with bills and things like that? And she said, yeah, I want to do that. So she knows exactly what's going on. Besides, by the way, she knows how to balance a checkbook. Do you hear this? I've never met anybody, I'm telling you, in decades of working in business and in relationship with people, very few people, very few. My wife is the only one I really know that knows how to balance a checkbook. I couldn't, I didn't want to. I love making money and enjoy
Yeah.
building businesses, but that's okay. That's not me. But
Mm-hmm.
the relationship of money touches everything
Yes.
in your marriage, in your relationship with your friends,
Mm-hmm.
in your relationships with your family, and you'll find it won't be that easy initially. The rewards are tremendous when you begin this journey of touching the M word.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, by the way, a lot of fun. That's the best part of all this. This is
Yes.
fun on steroids.
It is. It really, really, really is. And you know what? We also have to remember that, the peace at home, it really is that vessel that holds the blessing. So I always tell people, you really want the blessing of wealth? Well, you gotta start working on that relationship.
So we spoke about this three things. Again, it's all about you. You're here to become happier, healthier, and wealthier. So
Mhm.
health, essential. Let's be blunt. Health stands for
Abs-
helping everyone achieve life through happiness. And wealth is a great acronym. It also stands for we all touch heaven.
Oh,
Heaven
yes.
literally opens up. We call it, hashpah. that
Mm-hmm.
channel. A Scottish Farmer says, I want you to be wealthy. Now, by the way, let's be very clear on something. We're not measuring wealth in dollars. And we're also not measuring wealth in, wow, he's spiritually wealthy. Hello, that's great, but that's fluff.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about integration of true wealth, which means, yes, money available whenever you need it and want it. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't have the stress, the anxiety, and the worry. Remember, you don't want that saw hurting you. You don't want to become a buzz saw. And by the same token, the ability to grow in spiritual wealth
Mm-hmm.
is enhanced by having the physical wealth. So
Absolutely.
it's they work in tandem. Nothing works by itself. You're working as an integrated whole.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now I have to ask you because you spoke about your mother, you spoke about your uncle. As you know, Barry, so much of the way we think and we speak and we behave with money has to do with the stories that we kind of created as children based on what we saw at in our home of origin, right? What we learned as children and we kind of internalized. Can you perhaps shed some light on your upbringing around money? What were some of the lessons that you
Yes.
learned growing up?
So first of all, Yael and I share something in common that she didn't even realize.
What?
So I was born in a place called Dorchester. I'm using my Boston accent, and so I'm born in Boston, raised in a place called Brookline.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why is that interesting? Because Yael went to Tufts. Now,
Yes.
I don't know where if when you went to Tufts, where were you living in Somerville?
Somerville.
Well,
Somerville. Where else?
no offense, but when I was growing up, I'm sorry to say it like this, it was called Slummerville compared to Brookline.
And you should know, by the way, that I used to work at the student employment office, and I'm a girl from Puerto Rico. So English is my second language. And for the life of me, I worked with these older women who ran the employment office from Somerville, and I could not understand their accent. And we had the funniest relationship because they couldn't understand my accent and I couldn't
Right.
understand theirs.
By the way, it's so when we're doing inside baseball stuff, but this is so important. So I love really, I do this sometimes just for the fun of it. I'll call up LL Bean. I don't know if anybody knows. It's a great company. I'll
Yes.
call LL Bean. They're headquartered in Maine, so they
Yeah.
have a different accent than Boston. But Boston is just it's by itself, and I can do it sometimes. I oftentimes fall into talking about my car and just anyway, but I love speaking on the phone to real Mainers down home,
Mm-hmm.
Yankees, and it's a different patois, but it's
Yeah.
like speaking to somebody in Mississippi if you're not from there, it's just fun because I understand, I can unpack the language, but
Yeah.
yeah, in Somerville they were deep, they were deep.
Yes.
In Brookline already, okay, little foo-foo, because it's a fun place. But I was born, that's why I said I was born in Dorchester. So I'll
Uh-huh.
give you two nice things. So Yael knows this, and anybody who comes from the Northeast, whether it's Chicago, or the Midwest, or New York, or especially Boston, we have in the winter cold and snow. So imagine if you possibly can, a person growing up without the internet and things like that. So when there was snow, and I'm not talking, half inch, I'm talking about 6, 10, 12 inches of snow blizzard.
Yes.
You had to wait on the radio, listen. They tell you the schools that are closed. Yay, schools closed. All right. Now, what we didn't do, we didn't play video games, didn't exist.
Right.
And I was not raised that way. I said, school closed. You know what I did? Get on my big boots, put on a thermal underwear, Boston, gloves, good gloves, actually two pair, one you wear, one you keep in your pocket so you can change,
Mm-hmm.
and something like a parka,
Yeah.
a parka. You go out with your shovel and go up and down the street, knock on doors,
Get to
and
work.
and just negotiate. Now here you got a 9, 10, 11-year-old negotiating with householders, cleaning the driveway and the stairs. How much? I want 10, they want to do it for 5. We've settled, let's say it's 7 or so. And
Mm-hmm.
here's what gets really fun. I learned after shoveling snow, it's great, by the way, even if you do only 3, 4, 5, you make $35, $40 sometimes. It's just wonderful. And you have to deal with people sometimes complaining. Okay. But you learn how to work with people.
Yeah.
You realize I have friends. So I had 3, sometimes, most of the time 5. I said, look, I'll get you the jobs. You do the shoveling. So I would now really be oriented to getting a job for $10 And I would sometimes say no. That's the other nice thing about life and business. Learn how to say no to a
Mm-hmm.
client. And they oftentimes call me back, say no. So I would give $7 to my friends. I
Yeah.
made three. So I had five people out shoveling snow. So, plus I did a few driveways. So I would make $120 when it would snow. I was loving
Oh,
snow. And you do that, maybe it happens only three times during the winter, but heck, that's for a 9, 10, 11-year-old. Woo!
of
That,
course.
it's wonderful. So the ability to understand not just work, but that your time is limited. How do you leverage it? Well, you
Mm-hmm.
get to work with other people. So you're now doing business, service.
Yes.
I bring them jobs. They don't have to talk to anybody. They do the work. Everybody wins. That's the essence of real business and making money. And it was, again, you can't get much more fun outdoors in the snow. Okay, we're throwing snowballs at each other, having fun. But I got to tell you one more story. You ready?
Yes. Yes.
Talk about household. So I was privileged, not white privilege. I was privileged. Why?
Mm.
Because we had somebody that knew somebody that had got me a job selling paper scorecards outside of Fenway Park.
Mm.
Oh, see, Yael, big eyes. If you're not watching this on Zoom, then you're missing something. But you can even hear the voice. She's saying, "Yeah, hello. Who doesn't know Fenway Park?" So I'm using my accent, Boston accent. So if you don't know, go look up Fenway Park, and you'll see one of the greatest ballparks in the country, still extant, and built over 100 years ago. So I was selling these scorecards outside of a particular corner, and I was very good. I mean, my
Uh-huh.
voice was like now, "Hey, get your scorecards, okay." And I could sell 100, sometimes 150 scorecards before the game started. Now, this is in the 60s, early 60s, when the Red Sox were not the Red Sox nation. Half the stadium was full or called empty, depending how you want to see it. But it's just great fun. So I'm standing in my corner, I'm selling, and there's a guy. Now remember, I'm, let's say, 12. And there's a guy who is, let's say, my age today, 72, 73, sitting on a milk cart with a
Mm-hmm.
big table in front of him, about 6 feet long, 4 feet wide, with roasted peanuts and some bags. And
Right.
he is classic out of central casting. He's an old, wizened black man. Now, by the way, word wizened comes from the word wise, and he was.
Yes.
Now, I'll tell you the story. So I'm selling and or trying to sell and do my, what I did. By the way, papers are 8 cents. And oftentimes people give you a dime. So you made 2 cents in the paper, 2 cents tip, but not always. Some people, wanted the two
No
pennies.
change.
Actually, a penny had some value. Anyway, he calls me over. He says, "Hey, kid, come over here." So I went over. I said, "Yes, sir," because that's how I was raised. He said, "Let me hear your how you're selling again." I said, "Yeah, scorecards. Get your scorecards here. Scorecards. Get your scorecards." He says, "That's pretty good, but where's the value? Value? I mean, 12-year-old. What do you mean?" He said, "How much are they in the ballpark? 15 cents. How much are yours? 8 cents. Well, how about watch it? Listen to this. Here's what he said: peanuts a dime, three for a quarter, 15 in the ballpark. Peanuts a dime, three for a quarter, 15 in the ballpark." Uh-huh. Scorecards, get your scorecards here. 8 cents here, 15 in the ballpark. 8 cents here, 15 in the bar. He says, "Much better. Let's go. Try it." Phew, what a difference.
What a
Okay,
difference.
instead of selling 75 or 90, I was selling 100, 125, 150. I was the best seller of the whole crew, 11 people all around Fenway Park. I was a stand-up for 3 years. Now, what was the guy's name? Elijah.
No, stop it.
It's too much fun. It's Elijah teaching me the value of value and
Mhm.
demonstrating it. And so I loved him. We were together for 3 years. That was my corner. And by the way, because of stuff, everybody at the ballpark, the guards knew me. So, and not just me, but I brought my friends, and we would go to see ball games for free. Hundreds of ball games, Red Sox games. I saw Ted Williams play his final game. But here's what gets really fun. This is now understanding. I told my father about this. He loved it. My father says, "Well, talk about value. You have these scorecards. What do people do? How do they keep score?" He said, "Well, with a pencil, I guess." He said, "Do they carry?" I said, "I don't know." So, well, here's what we're going to do. Went to the store. We bought a gross of pencils, long pencils.
Mhm.
We took a saw. See that? and we cut them in half. So you have these little pencils now that use for miniature golf and
Yeah, right,
people
right.
sort of, so now you took a pencil that cost you what, a nickel for a pencil, and we sold it for a dime, 5 cents for each little pencil. So now I'm selling scorecards. Get your scorecard, 8 cents here, 50 in the ballpark, and get pencils here. People go, okay, well, yeah, you want a pencil? Yeah, of course I need a pencil for a
Brilliant.
dime. So now you got 20 cents. But what were you doing? It wasn't even the money. It was, which was great, by the way. So many thank yous. Hey, yeah, I didn't bring a pencil. People had said thank you. I gave real value. I understood gross margin
Mm-hmm.
in the whole process. It involved my father. And so all of these things happened between the ages of 9 and 14, where it
Amazing.
set the stage for saying, I love business.
Yes.
Look what it does. You talk to people, you're involved with people, you're giving benefit. People are happy. That when I saw business, that's how I saw business. It's happiness.
Yeah. It's adding value. It's making people's lives better. It's about the other person. Like we said at the beginning of this conversation, it's about the you, not about
Right.
me. It's about
It's about
them.
you. Right. Focus on the you. By the way, in a marriage, hello, marriage, think about the other person. Yes, you have a point of view. Great. You can talk about it. Remember, the other person is not your adversary,
Mm-hmm.
even though they may act that way sometimes, by the way. I mean, let's be blunt. Married. I'm married 45 years. You know, this is real life. Things
Yeah.
happen.
Right.
But understand who that other being is.
Yes.
That's your that's your partner.
Yes.
That is the joy of life. Joy stands for journey of you.
Mm-hmm.
You want that journey to be filled with happiness and peace and love.
And
Okay.
by the way, going back to what you recommended a while ago about getting together with your spouse once a week or for a little bit of time to talk about your money, the understanding piece that you just mentioned, understanding where they're coming from. Why is their point of view about a certain expense or a certain investment or money in general the way it is? That building that empathy, understanding their childhood. Maybe we all come from different households, different upbringings around this. And what happens is we come into the relationship, we haven't figured out our own story and we haven't figured out our partner's story. How can we create a new story?
And by the way, let's be blunt and really straightforward and open. For women, I believe it is far more difficult to talk about the M word than for men.
Mm-hmm.
Even men, by the way, most often were not raised in an open household where money was discussed with
Right.
kids.
Right.
You know, we don't take an 8-year-old. Okay, I was different because of time and such. Uh, and again, I was involved in business, so
Mm-hmm.
I could actually touch and feel and make
Mm-hmm.
money and do things. But most kids have no idea. I mean, they go up, they get stuff. It's called clothes. They go to school, they have food. Where does it? How does it go? Hashem brings it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
duh. So guys also have a lot to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
Women more so because
Yes.
women were raised, well, you're going to marry. He's going to take care of you. It
Oh.
says so in the ketubah. Except that today, unless you're in a kollel family, then you're going to take care of the whole family. Well, yeah, but what do you know about business? You know about maybe going to work,
Yeah.
but do you know about business? In other words, I work, I make X. Well, how do you multiply that? Is there a way to
Right.
do that? That's the other M word. When you can do
Mm-hmm.
M squared, money multiplied, which is really what Yael's show is all about. How do you multiply
Yes.
money? How do you bring your expertise because you're educated? You hear this? You're
Mm-hmm.
highly educated and you're completely ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, how should we say it? They're not oil and water.
Yeah.
Being educated means you can now move out of ignorance into knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Chachma, Bina, Das. The ability to use all three of those together, it's yours, especially in today's world. Thank God today's world is not the world that I grew up in terms of families or that
Mm-hmm.
my mother and father grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different available. The internet makes stuff a lot more available.
Yeah.
And that's to your advantage. You're highly educated. Use it to advantage.
Yes. Barry, I got to ask you because I saw one time, I heard you say that when you were in the hospital at the beginning of that journey, going back to those days, one of the nurses asked you, about you not being angry. It shocked them that you weren't like their typical patient. Um, and you weren't. You realized I'm not angry. Maybe you can expound on that because I think it sums up a lot of the beauty that you've said here today. But I would like you to expound on that realization that you weren't angry.
Thank you for asking, Yael. So again, hard to imagine this, but I'll urge everybody to do an experiment for
Mm,
yourselves tonight. When you're in bed, lie down on your back. Now you
mm,
can't do this for more than 8 seconds or you'll go crazy. Well, on your back, lie down and breathe gently and tell your toes to move, and they don't move. Tell your feet to move, they don't move. Tell your legs to move, they don't move. Tell your fingers to move, they don't move. Tell your arms to move, you can't pick them up. Tell your body to move, nothing responds. Again, not more than 8 seconds, you go crazy. So that was me for years. So now, with that, imagine I'm just in the hospital. I was in 3 different hospitals, again, a total of 144 days. But within the second or third week, they're still moving me around, picking me up, putting on a gurney, doing tests and things like that. So I had a particular male nurse uh, with me 3 or 4 days. And I remember exactly where he was when he stopped in the hallway. Because again, I'm on my back. All I can do is look out up and see out a little window that was getting dusk and such. And he stops and he leans down and he asks me, Mr. Shore, can I ask you a personal question? So just to put everything in perspective, I could barely speak above a whisper. In
oh
other
my
words,
God.
everything was compromised. I said, yes. He said, look, my specialty is working with people who are paralyzed. And I never yet met anybody who's not bitter and angry. How come you're not bitter and angry? And I realized, Yael, that what he was doing is ask me the great existential question, which of course is, why God? Why me? Why did you do this to me?
Mhm.
I wasn't asking that. Now, granted, let's put everything on the table. I am observant Jew, observant Jose B'Shuvah since
Mhm.
1972. So now this is happening in 2004. So I'm in the Amuna for a few decades already.
Mhm.
But still at all, hello, stuff happens. What do you do?
Yeah.
Rubber meets the road, as the cliche goes. And I
Mhm.
realized he would. What I was asking is, okay, why me? God, I'm just a regular guy. Nice guy. I'm a regular guy. What am I supposed to do?
Wow.
And I tell you something, for everybody, at that moment, I'm 55 years on the planet, I a calm and a trust came over me that I hadn't known in all the years I'm alive. I had no idea if it was going to move again, walk again, whatever. At that moment, it didn't matter. Completely, totally calm.
Mm.
Now, thank God today, as I said, I'm vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. I don't walk like you do, and most everybody, I think, God willing, everybody listening. I've helped 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I can't do a lot of things. As the Yael's looking at me now, my arms are moving and such like that. I can't get up from this chair by myself. I still
Mhm.
have to push on the arms and such, because basically from the waist down, still paralyzed. But got to hear this, everybody. Because of certain wonderful circumstances, one of my neighbors is the best aquatic therapist in America. How do I
Wow.
know? Because he told me. He's a great guy. He said, I'll have you up and out of that chair in a year. You'll be walking. Okay. It didn't happen. That didn't matter. His belief and my belief didn't matter. It was the ability to do these in the water
Mhm.
to be, there's such a thing, go into a little bit of detail. At almost all pools, especially public pools, they have something called a Hoyer lift.
What
H
is
E
it?
U E R. Look it up, you'll see. It
Uh-huh.
allows people in wheelchairs to get in and out of bed and move things. And so they have Hoyer lifts at now I lived in Southern California. Hello, outdoors, wonderful weather, swimming again, no matter what. And moving from the wheelchair into the Hoyer lift, into the water. And he had 3, 4 of his people working with me. I had flotation device on my belly, on my legs, and on my arms, so I wouldn't sink and drown. He didn't want that.
Mhm.
No good for business. But over a course, and I was doing therapy 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week, an hour each time. And after about a year or so of moving, just trying to get some feeling back into my limbs. By the way, my disease was not obviously not a result of a car accident, not a spinal injury. This rare disease called French polio and such, you can look it up, Guillain-Barré syndrome, GBS for the
Mhm.
condescending. So oftentimes things do come back. Now, in my case, didn't. Some of it did. After about a year or so, I was able to move my arms over my head, Yael. And I did this, and wow, I was actually moving with all these flotation dives, but I was moving my arms. I was doing a backstroke essentially, and I moved a few yards, and I hit my head on the side of the pool, and that was wonderful because I moved.
Wow.
And then I said, okay, I'm going to go to the other area, and I just said, everybody, just watch me, so I don't drown. Back and forth, back and forth. I didn't stop for 98 minutes. They were timing it. I swam a mile, 98 minutes, but I did it. And I said, if I can do it once, I can do it again. Do it again.
Yes.
So I did it twice a week, and then 3 times a week, then 4 times a week, then 5 times a week. And eventually I was able to turn on my tummy and remove the flotation device from my tummy and my arms, just have them on my legs so I don't sink because otherwise it's hard
Mhm.
to swim. I have
Mhm.
paddles for my hands because my fingers don't close, as you see. And I use a
Mhm.
snorkel because it's hard still to turn left to right and breathe. But I'm now swimming on my tummy as well as on my back. And I now swim, thank God, 2 miles a day, 6 days a week. I've been doing that for more than a dozen years. I have over 8,400 miles under my belt, and my goal is to swim around the world. Now,
Wow.
24,900 miles. Now, you might say, well, Barry Shore, you can't do that because, well, forget the word can't. Whatever I do, I do, but I'm going to enlist partners. Now, I am, in addition to being the ambassador of joy, I'm a mental health activist
Mhm.
because mental health is the most important health. And by the way,
Yes.
the M word, mental health, goes exactly to money because money is a
Yes.
mental thing. It's
Yes.
what happens between your ears that is more important than anything else when it comes to money.
Yes.
Money, I've made, thank God, a lot of money in my life. Have I lost money? Absolutely. Beside the point, if you have the skills and the tools, you can always make more. So I'm going
Mhm.
to enlist partners. My first partner that I'm reaching out to is Michael Phelps. Many
Mhm.
people have heard of him. I want to, because Michael Phelps is a mental health activist also. I'm going to invite Michael to be my partner, and together we're going to swim 1,000 miles a year. And we're going to invite people to chip in their 2 cents. Everybody wants to put in their 2 cents in something. Put in 2 cents a mile. So you say, I'm in. So we swim 1,000 miles together. You give $20, big deal. But if we have hundreds of thousands of people, we raise millions of dollars. And then we
Mhm.
bring in celebrities. So it's the ability, again, just like I did when I was shoveling snow, to leverage and to team up with people so that we can excite the world with, here's a guy who was a quadriplegic who's swimming around the world. How does that happen? What does that mean? Mental health, give money, stop the stigma. And the stigma is not just about mental health. I just said to you, the real mental health is your relationship with money
Yeah.
and yourself. It's
Yes.
all about being the best you possible.
Mhm. This is just absolutely brilliant. I love this idea. Can I swim? Barry, what are some, you talk about knowing what to do, and if you've learned it, then you could lose the money, you can do it again. What are some of those financial habits that you feel like you practice, quote unquote, religiously, or that are, non-negotiables that you have?
This is such an important question.
Mm-hmm.
I have thought about it because I looked at some of your questions beforehand. I wrote them down. I have three that we practice, and
Let's
I
hear it.
urge anybody who will listen to me practice. And when you do, you succeed. If you don't, you still might succeed, but this is a guarantee. Guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, think before spending.
Yes. It sounds so basic, right?
Right.
And yet we just like go through life mindlessly. We swipe the card, we hit the
Impulse.
Apple Pay button, right? Mindlessly when we
Right.
really have to bring
Well, let's talk
intentionality.
about mindless just for a moment. It's very important. So, my book called The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy, which Yael is going to recommend to everybody. You should. By the way,
Yes.
if she does, what I've decided to do is to give people with the year 22, we're going to give people a 22% discount because they're on this show. So you're going to have a
Yay.
special link 22% discount. The book, I think it's 15.95 through Amazon. You're going to order on the site, you'll get 22% discount. I think it's 7.95 electronic, but you'll get the physical book autographed plus a joy package. So it's
Amazing.
invaluable. But so yeah, we want to do that because this book will talk about the 11 strategies for learning how to live in joy daily. And there are many stories about Elijah and about money and about things like that. So the ability to think before spending
Mm-hmm.
is critical. Number two, give regularly. So this
Yes.
is so important. Again, being observant in any way. I don't care if you're reformed, doesn't matter. The Rambam has given us an insight into human nature that touches money, but it touches everything about you. It
Mm-hmm.
is far better to give a dime a day, 365 days a year. So $36.50. Better to give a dime a day than to give a check for $36.50 one time a year,
Mm-hmm.
or multiply it by 10 or 1,000. It doesn't matter. $1 a day, $10 a day, $100. The point is exercising the giving
Muscle.
muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Giving is the essence to the joy of living and to the ability to make more money.
Yes.
Counterintuitive, but that's Jews. We are counterintuitive, which is great. That's how we've succeeded for thousands of years. God said, be counterintuitive. I love you,
Mm-hmm.
counterintuitive people. So
Mm-hmm.
think before spending, giving regularly. And number three, enjoy learning about money.
Oh, I love.
Enjoy the process of learning about money. This is Yael's show. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care stocks, bonds, derivatives, uh, commodities, whatever it is. Learn about money.
Yeah,
It's fun.
it's fun.
Research Warren Buffett.
Yes.
Read books. Again, an hour with your group once a week, 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week, learning about money. Now, was that all Barry Shaw? Well, gee, I'll tell you something. If you do this and you do this successfully for 4 months straight, not missing a day of your 10 minutes, not missing a week of your hour, then in 4 months, you'll talk to Yael and say, have Barry Shaw back on. I want to go deeper. And we'll do a deeper dive because there's
Yes.
more. But the point is, these three strategies will bring you success that you've never experienced before. Think before spending, give regularly, and enjoy learning about
Mm-hmm.
money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Shift perspective and remember how to pronounce that F.
Barry, you are unbelievable. I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity. I'm so grateful that we get to read your book and we get a discount and we get all the fun stuff that comes with it. Can you give us just briefly what those 11 things are, just so that we to pique our curiosity? We're going to read the book, but just give us in a snippet. What are those 11 things?
I'm not going to give you 11. What
Give me
I'll
a few.
do, because nobody's going to remember, I'm going to give you three
There we
that
go.
will allow you to begin to focus.
Yes,
One
let's
of
hear
them we've
it.
already spoken about. Strategy number one is smile.
Yes.
Learn to understand the acronym for SMILE, either seeing miracles in life every day.
Okay.
I
Or
don't mean
every
once in a
day in
while.
life.
Every day we say it, Al nisecha b'yom yimanu. Or as my 8-year-old niece says, and she taught me this, and I love it, seeing miracles in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another strategy.
And by the way, can I hold you 1 second? Not
Please.
just seeing it, people, communicate them so that it becomes da'as. Tell your children, tell your husband, call your sister, make it a reality. Don't just, oh, look what just happened. Just literally talk about it so that you internalize it and so that others can open their eyes too.
What Yael just articulated is critical to something. People say, I follow Yael's podcast. Great. The purpose of following Yael's podcast is not to be a follower,
Mhm.
it's to be a teacher. The reason she is here giving service and doing all this is for you to become the best you possible. And the best way to do it is to be a teacher.
Yes.
And you don't say, well, I'm a teacher right now of my kids. By speaking about it, you become a teacher of it. That's the best way
Mhm.
to learn, right?
Yes,
Is
the
not
best
just
way
to
to
have
learn.
that book knowledge, but to articulate it and to share it, spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy. So smile is one of the strategies. One of the most remarkable strategies is, and you pointed it out, get uncomfortable. Get on. Oh, Barry Shore. You want me to be uncomfortable? Well, yes. Comfort is the place where dreams go to die.
Yeah.
So here, I'm going to give you a quick, do we have time for a quick story?
Yes.
Okay. Her name is Aida.
Okay.
Great opera, by the way. But so Aida is, when I met her, 95. And she is in the lane in the pool that I share. At the
Mhm.
pool, they call it the handicap lane, people special needs and such like that. So the chair is there. So her person puts her in and she's not swimming, she's walking, holding onto the lane line, but she's 95 and walking in the water.
Mhm.
Hello. And I'm in there and I'm swimming next to her. My way of swimming, but hey, and passing by, every so often we stop. And of course, I'm going to talk with her and she's going to talk with me. It's wonderful. And after a few weeks, she says, uh, Barry, I love your energy. I'm happy to be 95 and alive, but I want what you have. They said, okay, can you help me? I said, whatever you want. I'm here. So I was by that time formulating the strategy. I hadn't put them in book form yet. And I worked with her in a couple of, her favorite is get uncomfortable. I'll
Mhm.
tell you two things. Number one, what does it mean get uncomfortable? As Yael pointed out, not to be mindless. So it's not putting a pebble in your shoe and
Mhm.
walking around all day. It's learning how to brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand.
Mhm.
I'm a righty. So I taught myself this many years ago. So I learned this from somebody many years ago. I picked up my toothbrush and I brushed my teeth with my left hand. Is it
Mm.
still awkward? Yes. But you know what happens when you do that? You become mindful of
Mm.
what you're doing because it's awkward. It's
Love it.
uncomfortable.
Love it.
Even with an electric toothbrush, put it in your left hand because now you're becoming mindful, not mindless. And you can do this with many different things. You walk out your front door, you always turn right. Great. Walk out your front door, turn left for 10 yards and then turn around because you're engaging your mind. I got to tell you now the best story about Aida.
Mhm.
So whenever we swam together for years, I mean, what in the same lane and such. And whenever she sees us, hey, hi, Barry, sing me a song. Now you got to remember 95, 96, 97, 98. I don't remember my name sometimes. She's 100 plus and she remembers my name, says, sing me a song. So I sing her a song. It's great. I just had the great merit and honor of singing happy birthday to Aida last October on her 109th birthday.
What?
Yes. And she
Oh,
still, when I call, hi, Barry, sing me a song. Ah! And she
wow.
attributes it to the strategies we learned together and especially get uncomfortable.
Wow.
I'm going to share with you the third one, which touches me deeply. Everybody knows it, and we need to put it as part of our being.
Mm.
Everyone, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about.
Right.
That's a card we have. Turn it over. It reads, be kind, always.
Always.
Be kind, always. The Dalai Lama has been quoted as saying, I read in his writings, be kind whenever possible. And he has a twinkle in his eye. He says, it's always possible. Be kind, always.
Mhm.
Kind stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. You are remarkable. You are unique. Joy also stands for just one you. There's only one of you.
There's only one.
Be kind. Kind also stands for connect in nature daily. Go out
Mm.
and breathe and feel it. You
Yes.
want to share it? Great. You want to be alone by walking? It's wonderful. Those three strategies alone should elevate you. You should be thing. This is absolutely running around the house naked, shouting joy. Okay, you don't have to do the naked part, but yes, again, shift, get uncomfortable. That's the gene. We hear her, she's laughing because laughter is absolutely the best medicine. We're recording this right now in Adar. I don't know when it's going to be out there. It doesn't matter because the baseline for the Jew, the main line for the Jew is simcha. What's the proof? Because in Adar we're urged marbeh b'simcha. In Av, ma'at simcha. But simcha is the base. That who is who we are.
That's
We
it. That's who
are
we are.
Jews.
Yes.
We're joyous beings.
Yes. Yes. Let's get rid of the oi and bring the joy, people. That's what it's about. That's where it's at. Okay, Barry, do you have time for us to do a little Jewish Money Matters fill in the blanks? This is the part of the show where I'll give you an open-ended sentence and you'll finish it with the first thing that comes to mind. Ready? I think that says you're ready.
Not, but do it anyway.
When I give Meiser or Tzedakah, I'd like to give to
people.
Yes, people. Anybody who knocks on your door.
I prefer people to organizations. However, I give obviously to both, but I like giving to people.
Yes. You know, it's very cute in our household. People knock on the door, whatever, and it's become a whole family. You know, the kids run and they find all the pushkas around the house, and then my husband makes a quick breakfast and then the people come in the house. It's like so beautiful. Like we have all these friendships of people who come every year from Eretz Israel or from wherever they come from, and they always know to come here, not just for the money, but they come and they get served a nice breakfast.
So this is fundamental to what Yael is sharing with all of us. We are fundamentalists in the sense that we create what she just did. It's not that I'm coming here, I'm needy, I want money. You're coming to a Jewish home.
Yeah.
Now, Yael is also going to, you'll go to my website, which she'll put up there, www, which stands, of course, for What a Wonderful World.
Yes, indeed.
.barryshore.com. And you'll be able to order and send out by email Keep Smiling cards. You'll see famous people holding up Keep Smiling cards. You say, wow, yeah, that's cool. More than 3 million of them given out in 27 languages around the world. And Yael has a stack at her home. And if she doesn't now, she'll have them soon. So whenever people come asking for anything, in addition to the fact that they gave whatever they could, you give people the Keep Smiling card. You give them 2, 1 for them to give away and 1 for them to keep. They now become a shaliach of opening up the joy channel.
Yes.
That makes a difference. That's why I literally enjoy giving to people. Like you create
connection.
Connection.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to make more money because
it brings more joy, happiness, peace, and love to myself and to the world.
Something I wish I'd learned about money growing up is
that it's not to be feared. It is your ally. It's a servant that wants to serve you.
Yes. Yes. Money, spiritual or physical?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Both.
Absolutely. See, if you look as an example, you have something called a bank account. Most people do. There's digits. It says $11,382 plus, or 187,000, or $1 billion. It's a digit.
Yeah.
Is it a stack of $100 bills? No. So is that physical? Well, yeah, but it's in the cloud. What's the cloud? The cloud is in reality spiritual. Money is your servant. It is no different. Matter of fact, more so than the person you hired to clean your home or that kind of thing. You know, you treat them with respect. That's money. So it is an essential aspect of your spiritual and physical being.
Yes. Something I splurge on unapologetically is
ice cream.
Good for you. Nice. Barry Shore, spender or saver?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to give everybody something that you're going to laugh out loud. You probably never heard it before, although maybe you heard it when you were in Somerville. So growing up, when we went from Brookline, and I went to a place called Revere,
Mm-hmm.
near Peabody. Actually, it's not. I'm just using inside baseball stuff. Uh, it was a particular church that had a neon cross,
Uh-huh.
and it read, "Jesus saves." Jesus up in vertical and saves across. Very nice. And so my father taught me this. He said, "Son, that's a very important sign." So, he said, "Because Jesus saves, Moses invests."
Oh, I
I, I can tell you, I have shared this with big Rabbanim
love it.
and major Christian talk show hosts.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it because it's
I
true.
oh my gosh, I gotta quote you on that one. This is so good.
It's fabulous, right?
It's fabulous. Today I am most grateful for.
Being, and
Mm-hmm.
then dot 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 alive.
Yes.
For
And
me,
fine.
Yael, for
Mhm.
me to open my eyes, say modernity, sit up and put my feet over the side of the bed, just to put everything in perspective, that took me more than 2 years of life.
Hmm. It really does put our modern. Let's just to say it like this. Sometimes, like I always say to my kids and to my audience, we just mumble the words and we're like already like reaching for our phone and like, right, we're going through the motions, but it's meant to be a moment of mindfulness, of gratitude for the fact that I've been given a new day, I've been given a new chance. The creator of the world trusts in me, believes in me. I have something to do. What could be more empowering than that?
Nothing. Now, I will share with you two pieces because you just mentioned them. The great acronym for MOM is Miracle of Mindfulness.
Mm,
Now, it's also Maker of Memories.
yes,
And
we
you said
are.
something amazing, Yael. I think you did it consciously. There are two ways to read Modeh and to understand it. Rabbi Amunosecha is
Mhm.
that I trust you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You didn't say it that way. You said it the way that it must be internalized. You
Yeah.
trust me enough that I'm here
Yes.
with life. I'm here to serve. I'm in business. I'm in your business. You
Yes.
comes before the eye. And maybe we'll do another show together. Maybe even start planting a seed. Maybe we'll do once a month a webinar
Let's do it.
specifically on these particular issues of understanding uh, how to integrate these truly profound ideas into the practical every day.
Yes, so important. I mean, if we really internalize this, I think a lot of people's anxieties could be reduced significant and
Right.
depression and all of that. Okay, we're on to something. Finally, I am Barry Shore, and I believe Jewish money matters because
We're here to serve people who need this information to transform their lives.
Mhm. Thank you.
Information, by the way, alone, insufficient. You can get information in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
Information must be transformative to your
Correct.
benefit.
Absolutely. Barry Shore, you are incredible. Thank you so much. The book is again, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy. And your podcast is The Joy of Living
The
also.
Joy of Living podcast. Everybody should go listen at least once or twice. We have great guests. Yael, God willing, will be a guest soon.
Amen.
And there are people all over the world listen, hundreds of thousands. We have millions of downloads. People love it. Yael, before we leave, can we do two things?
Yes, let's do them. What are we doing?
I want to give you a frum hug in front of hundreds of thousands of people and leave everybody with a blessing, okay?
Okay.
So let's tell everybody what HUG stands for. HUG stands for harmonizing, unlimited
There we
giving.
go.
Are you ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
How is a bear
Okay.
hug, people?
Very good. And our blessing from Yael and from Barry Ephraim Shore is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad, go make a difference.
Go make a difference. That's it. Barry, tell us the link where we can also find the book and put in that code.
It's going to be www. A Wonderful World, barryshore.com/Yael.
How beautiful. Thank you
It
so,
is.
so much. This was amazing.
You're entirely welcome.
We can't wait to have you back.